One of the most helpful and simple resources that we have is our physicality resting into the solidity of the earth beneath us. Just kind of sensing the lower half of your body becoming more embedded in the seat beneath you. And you can feel that rise and fall of the breath, and the fall is what softens the system down into the earth. And you can even prolong the exhale a little bit at first. And as always, right from the get-go, we're practicing noticing things as they are and letting them be as they are. So dropping into the solidity of the ground will just naturally bring you more into your body. The awareness will begin to expand to include more and more sensations of the body. And so tonight for this meditation, the primary guidance is to include. So as we sit here, we become aware of new details. We're not bringing them in, they're just coming in on their own. So I notice maybe a little bit of tension in my shoulders. I notice tingling in my fingers. And rather than focusing on those things and even adding stories to them, I just include. That too can be included. So including the sensations that are related to the breath, and when we're including, we can include the mind and its preferences for one thing or another, but we include it as part of the whole, as part of, okay, the mind has its preferences, but the body's experience is that there's both pleasurable sensations as well as not so comfortable sensations. And this has value as well. And when we commit to staying with sensation, there's a sense of perhaps safety that happens, a sense of more openness. And in that openness, new sensations come in. And we include those too. And generally, they will be subtler and subtler sensations. We can also include that tendency to jump into the mind, to bring our awareness back into and get hooked into thoughts. And as soon as that's noticed, we can simply remember that we're including everything. So we come back to the body and we let it continue to have its contribution. When we move into the sensory level of the body, the finer and finer sensations related to what we might call the feeling body or the emotional body also start to become more apparent. And so we include those as well. Why? Because they're simply a part of our present moment experience. And the truth is, we don't know whether they should or shouldn't be here. So we just go with reality that they are here. And therefore, we give all of that the benefit of the doubt and we open to it. And we may begin to notice that the body and the sensations like being included, in the sense that there's a greater, maybe fullness, a greater sense of space, a greater sense of being at home in the body when we practice this perspective. We don't have to like the sensations that we feel. We don't even have to accept them, but we can acknowledge them. Everything that's moving through, all of the sensations, are part of the river of life. And until the mind comes in with its add-ons, that's all it is. It's just sensations coming in, moving, doing their dance, and then moving out. So as we include, there's a few qualities that I think are really helpful. And the first one I mentioned already is openness. So the sense of being open, being available to anything that arises, even being open to our resistance, being open to our sleepiness, to our numbness. There's this great, generous availability for everything that appears. The second quality is curiosity. So curiosity enables us to keep that open mind, that open spirit, this willingness to be open and curious to anything that arises because we don't know. That's what curiosity allows us to do, is to not know. We don't make anything mean something. We just stay open and curious. And a third quality that I think is really helpful here is kindness. So, kindness towards what arises, kindness towards those things that feel pleasant as well as those things that are not so pleasant. Kindness when we get lost in our minds, kindness when we notice ourselves resisting. Letting ourselves be beginners at this, letting ourselves be imperfect. And we may find when we go through the layers of body and emotion and mind, just really watching the details move through with openness, curiosity, and kindness. We may notice that we begin to perceive a greater sense of presence, that we just feel more here, and also that we fill ourselves more. We feel more spacious simultaneously. So, this sense of fullness as well as spaciousness. Sometimes we begin to feel larger than the edges of our physical body. So just notice for yourself what your cues are that presence is coming online more strongly. So I've mentioned some of them. What is it for you? Do you feel more grounded? Maybe the mind begins to settle a little bit. Maybe there's a greater sense of harmony in your inner experience. And it's okay if none of that is happening too. Just notice what's noticing that. There's no particular way that this experience has to look like, even though I'm pointing in certain directions. And it's important to trust your own experience. You're never doing anything wrong. There's never anything wrong with the experience that you're having in this moment. If you're feeling like you're doing something wrong, then I would encourage you to look at what is wanting to be included here. And this may or may not have an impact on the way that you're experiencing your physical body and your emotional body. So we're not doing this to change anything, although the tendency is for things to shift when they're given the freedom to just be. But there's no ulterior motive. There's no agenda except presence, this sense of gentle, open availability to ourselves, just as we are.